Hello and welcome to week 1 of Chaos. Every Saturday in February, I will be posting a video over something chaos related, so stay tuned, find out more information. For the first 3 weeks, I'm going to be actually taking quizzes over my book, Chaos Theory Initiation. So these quizzes were written by middle school students. They had to do a project where they made a quiz over a book and they chose my book, which is so cool. So I'll be taking their quizzes and see how I do. Hopefully I make 100%. But please take them along with me. Let me know in the comments if you score 100%. And I'm also going to be giving you a little more background information, maybe how I came up with stuff as we go through the quizzes, so get a little behind the scenes information. But also be careful of spoilers. Spoiler warning, this is a quiz over my book and I will be answering questions. So if you have not read my book, Chaos Theory Initiation, I can't even say it, go read it. Go check it out. Let me know what you think and then take the quiz along with us. So stay posted for those videos every Saturday as well. So quiz 1 is by a student named Lily. Thank you, Lily, for sending me your quiz. And hopefully we do good. Here we go. I'm nervous. All right, I have not read these questions. My husband typed them out for me so I could not see the correct answers. So I'm going in blind and we're going to find out what we find out. Okay, so question 1, what is the main character's name? Roman, Gideon, Eve, or Stacy? All right, I think I know this one. This one is Eve. Eve is the main character of my book. And Eve was always Eve. That was just her name from the very beginning. There are other characters. I changed their names several times, but Eve has always been Eve. So she is the main character. And I like Stacy, so random. So maybe you meant Stevie, but I like it. Random answer. Okay, question number 2. The first chaos attack happened in Asia, Europe, or America? Interesting. So the chaos attack first happens So in this book, this is the first chaos on American soil, so that would be the answer I think they're looking for. But overall, the first ever chaos happened in Europe, so we don't get into that. You don't really hear the background of that too much information in the book, but that's where that happened. Question number 3, what is the name of the main character's best friend? Becky, Patricia, Natalie, or Robin? That's kind of funny that Becky is an option because Becca was the original name of this character, and the first time I wrote the book, Becca was Eve's best friend, but then I changed it to Natalie because Natalie is my editor, which I am forever grateful for. She helped me so much during this book and throughout this process and the books to come. She's already helped me tremendously, so I wanted to honor her by giving her a huge character, and Natalie is definitely a main character, so it is a little hard for me at times because in my mind, I still think of her as Becca sometimes because that was the original, but I'm glad I was able to give a little shout out to Natalie because she definitely deserved it. Question 4. What is the name of her brother? Connor, Zach, Isaac, or Colin? I know this one too. Connor, he is one of my favorite characters. He is super smart, and if I ever write something from his perspective, I'm a little bit nervous about it because he is so much smarter than me that I think it would be difficult to write. Question 5, write a summary of the first 5 chapters. Wow, that is a big question there, Lily. I'm not going to give you a synopsis of the first 5 because that may give too much away and we don't have time. I want to keep going, but I think I'd be able to give a summary of the first 5 chapters. Question 6, the place where all the cronies live is called home, safe haven, or asylum, and that is the asylum. I named it the asylum because I thought that was like the crazy house. I thought it was a really cool word. It also had a term, the underground, because they live underground. And the first time I wrote the book, I actually kind of used those names interchangeably. But then it got a little confusing. I didn't want it to be confusing. So I just took out the underground and left it as the asylum, which I love. So next question, explain the first 2 chaos and what did Eve do? So that was one of the things when I wrote the book, I knew I wanted to happen. I knew the dream I had, that was the first chaos, that was the first chapter, all the dream. And then I knew moving forward, I wanted Eve to be a part of a second chaos and that she would know what was going on. So she would have to make this huge life-changing decision about what she was going to do to save everyone in her mind. So I knew those were kind of my 2 big, huge plot points when I wrote the first book, and then it kind of all took off from there. Next question, does Gage like Eve? Yes or no, and explain your answer. I think it's pretty safe to say that Gage does not like Eve. He does not like her for several reasons, which I will get into in future books. But yeah, he threatened to kill her. He may have intended to in his own mind. But yeah, he's not a big fan of Eve. And even at the end, we'll kind of, in the future books, you'll kind of see where their relationship goes. But we'll see. Maybe in the future he gets on board with Eve. But right now, he definitely does not like her. All right, the top goal of Eve's list was to get a message to Natalie, Roman, or her family. All right, so I'm glad it said to get a message to, because if you would have just asked me what was the first one on her list, I probably wouldn't have guessed it, because the list changed multiple times as I went through it. And so one of the things on the list, the first thing I think the first time I wrote it was for Eve to get in shape, because she did not work out at all. She knew if she was going to have to run, she was going to just get tackled by all these in-shape boys. So one of her original goals was to get into shape, to work out all the time. I took that out because, one, she's not in the asylum for very long, or I didn't want to leave her in there too long. And plus, I don't think it would be very entertaining just to read about someone's workout, maybe because I'm not a workout person. And that's probably it, actually. I wouldn't know how to write a workout saga, because I wouldn't know what I was doing, which that would be relatable to Eve, because she wouldn't know what she was doing. So that was a whole big thing that I took out. And there were a couple other side goals that she had that I kind of took out to make it more simple. So the next one is the third chaos was going to take place on the show Great American Dream, America's Got Talent, American Idol. Well, Great American Dream, I know that answer. And that's what it always was. I picked that name the very first time I wrote the first draft and stuck with it. I really didn't like it though. And so all my test readers, I'm like, what do you think about Great American Dream? How should I change it? But everyone's like, no, I liked it. It was fine. And so I decided to keep it. So the leader of the asylum is Gage, Emily, Roman, or Gideon. All right, fair question. Definitely, I think all these people in their own mind feel that they are the true leader of the asylum. But officially, it is Roman. He's in charge of this particular Oklahoma asylum. Gage and Emily were brought in to help with this big chaos because they are kind of higher up in the Defiance. But definitely Roman is in charge, even though any one of those could have an argument about who's the true leader. So next question, what happens in the party room during Great American Dream? A lady tries to get Eve to drink. Someone kidnaps Eve. Nothing happens. Or the chaos gets canceled. Oh, that would kind of be boring. That would be sad. But a lady tries to get Eve to drink. This was not written in my first few drafts, this whole encounter with Eve. There was someone kind of who welcomed her and maybe tried to get her to have a drink. But the whole her getting in a fight and ripping the lady's dress, that kind of came in last, kind of toward the end. And I kind of threw that in and I really liked it. So I'm glad I added that. All right. These next few are just true or false questions. Eve gets arrested. That is true. She is arrested by the DOC at the end, towards the end of the book. Eve takes the memory pill. That would be false. She does not take the memory pill. It dissolves in her hand right before she's able to, and then the cops come in and she can't take the pill. Eve escapes from the police. That is true. Major spoilers again. Connor joins the Defiance. That is true. Kind of side note on that, one person had asked what happened with Connor's tracker, because Eve had to have her tracker taken out as soon as she joined the Defiance or was in their custody. And then what happened to Connor? Like, he joins the Defiance, but is his tracker out? So yes, his tracker is out. There's a whole backstory on how he was able to get in with Roman and how they planned everything and schemed everything on how to rescue Eve. And so that will be in future books, kind of how that all takes place. So next question, Eve stays in the Defiance. That is true. At this current moment, she is currently in the helicopter with Roman and Connor and Emily, the whole group, the whole crew's there, and they're headed to the Cerebrum. So right now she is still in the Defiance, but she's still really torn too. She kind of doesn't know where her loyalties lie, and she hasn't made that decision 100% yet. And then lastly, Eve's parents join the Defiance. I would say that is false at this point. They are in the custody of One Global under high security, And so that's kind of the next big step for Eve, is her major concern is what happened to my parents? Where are they? I need to rescue them. I'm glad I'm safe. I'm glad Connor's safe, but we need to move on. So that was the end of quiz 1. I think I did pretty good. Let me know if I messed anything up. I never understood how like artists forgot their own lyrics, or if you ask someone a question about a book, I'm like, you wrote it, how do you not know the answer? But it's kind of just crazy when you go over everything so many times and you rewrite so many chapters and you answer so many questions. It does sometimes get confusing, which I did not expect. But that's the end of quiz 1. Let me know how you did. I am going to take quiz 2 next week. Hopefully I do just as well, and hopefully I can still continue to give you little new tidbits of information. And then stay tuned every Saturday, because you'll get more information on what is coming up next in Chaos. So hope you had fun. I had fun, and I'll see you next week.